The following program is a public access production. Comcast is required to provide time on this channel and make it available pursuant to franchise agreements with the communities we serve. Comcast is not affiliated with the following program or the producers of public access programming and is not responsible for the content. The following program does not reflect the opinions of Comcast or its affiliates.
Welcome to the Chicago Theater Review. My name is Dr. Alka, and have we got a show for you today. So without further ado, let's cut right into the show, the Chicago Theater Review.
Thanks, Alkas, for that intro. I'm Frank, and Gail is with us, and of course I promised you our new intern would be with us, Darcy, and she's going to tell us about a new play that she just saw. Because we have such a good show, we're going to go right to what's playing in Chicago so we can introduce our guest. Our first show that we're going to talk about is at Writers Theater, and as you know, in Glencoe they've got two theaters. So there's Writers Theater, the main one, and then there's one that's behind a bookstore. This is in the bookstore one on Vernon Avenue, and it's called Detective's Wife. It's a one-person show, but you know what? She keeps your interest for the entire show. I really enjoyed it. What I want to do first is show a clip from that show. Let's go right to the clip.
I had 14,098 books. No wonder the heating bills on our old Victorian were so low. The entire house was insulated with books. I hauled out a calculator and started doing the math. 14,098 books. I'd been married to Jim for 30 years. 5 hours to read each. 5 for the sake of argument and because I felt strangely self-punishing. 70,490 hours with my face buried in mysteries. 70,490 hours I could have spent with the kids, with Jim. 70,490 hours divided by 24. No, we all have to sleep, divided by 16. 4,406 days of my life in absentia. That's 12 years? I was only 52. It was insane. What the hell happened? To be really masochistic, I could tally in all the hours I spent watching TV mysteries. Macmillan and Wife, the BBC, Murder, She Wrote, Monk.
Okay, that's Detective's Wife. There's a technical glitch in that. I made the clips and it looked good on my camera, so we hope the next clips are not like that. But I have to admit, the clip that they gave me is the beginning, is which I think you saw. Did you see it, the play?
Yes.
Was that the opening? Or was it different?
I can't remember. Okay.
I must have had a coma because I don't remember that beginning. They completely changed the beginning, so they must have made a change from rehearsals to when they actually put it out. And I actually like the change that they made. It actually makes more sense and explains a lot more. So I do recommend it. It is playing until the end of July, so I recommend people get down there. Next, also, I do want to mention that it's directed by Gary Griffin, and the writer is Keith Huff, who also did A Steady Rain, and he's a Chicago native, so it's an excellent show to see. Next is Court Theater. We won't be showing any clip from Court Theater, but it's Porgy and Bess. Most people cannot figure out, is it an opera or is it a musical? And I think this is one of Gershwin's little tricks that he came up with. And I've seen every different variation of it, and the Court always does a unique variation. They did it with a very simple set with simple costuming, and I think it brought the whole aspect of the play in order. And I know you can't talk about that one either because that's up for an award, so the ones that he can talk about, we'll try and get him on. Next is Theater Ubuque. They are still doing Some Enchanted Evening. That also was up for a Jeff Award, and that was on the non-equity, right?
That's right, and actually it did had a lot of nominations and won an award.
It won an award. So that, it's an excellent, Theater Ubuque is such a small stage, and what he is able to push onto that small stage in that small theater is usually great. So I was glad that they actually won for that.
And that show's going to keep running for a while, and even though it was up for awards and won an award, it's going to continue to run with an extension.
And it's amazing. I thought, and it's just like Cats. Cats got it extended too. They really come up with some great musicals there. Next is Outgoing Tides, and that's at Northlight Theater. And that's with Mahoney, who is a native of Chicago, and he was also the father on Frasier. And that's another good show. It deals mainly with, I think it's a man who has slight Alzheimer's disease, and his wife trying to deal with it. And do we have clips for any of those shows, or are they all?
Yes.
Okay, we can play that clip then.
San Francisco, California, USA. Look down from Chinatown over a foggy bay. You travel there in a trolley up you climb. Dong dong, you're in Hong Kong, having yourself a time.
You can eat if you are in the mood.
Shark fin soup,
Beefcake fish.
the girl who serves you all your food is another tasty dish. You know you can't have a new way of living till you're living all the way. We're telling you where it's at. San Francisco, that's where it's at. California, USA.
And what we're going to do is we're going to go right to the next clip, which is Outgoing Tides, so we can play right into it.
The day I sold the business to Berger, he reaches into his
Desk.
desk, pulls out a bottle. We signed the papers. A Jewish guy gives me the best glass of Irish whiskey I've had in my life. Go figure.
Oh, Dad, that is nice.
$240 it better be.
How much?
You heard?
Are you out of your mind?
Not at the moment, but stick around. You never know.
$240 for a bottle of booze?
An excellent bottle of booze and worth every penny. We are celebrating.
What on earth is there to celebrate?
Loose ends. A huge, huge weight has been lifted. Hallelujah. I feels good. Go figure. Saw the FedEx guy coming up.
Gunner.
Started dancing like Fred Astaire.
What on earth was
Hello,
FedEx
FedEx guy. Wanted to kiss him on the lips.
Gunner, focus. Gunner, who am I?
So that is, you just saw Mahoney on that scene, and that is from Northlight Theater. That's called Outgoing Tides. The next we're going to go right into is at Profiles Theater, and it's called 50 Words. It's a very nice play.
Yugoslavia, Salzburg, Buenos Aires, and there I was on the way to a stranger's apartment in a taxi. Oh, God.
What?
No, I
No,
can't.
what
It's
were you
too
about to say?
stupid.
Speak woman's doctor.
What a goofbag. Is this what couples talk when their child has a first sleep?
No, you're trying to change the subject. It won't work.
All right. No comments.
Not even if.
The whole time I was back there, you know, what I was worried about was, oh my God, I can't.
Come on, Dan. Tell me, please.
I was terrified we'd hit a pothole.
A pothole?
And we'd have to rush her to one of our...
Okay, that's 50 Words. Tell us a little bit, I hear you could tell me about this one.
Well, I actually, all three the clips you just showed, certainly the Theo Ubique, which you saw the music clip from, that's the one I mentioned that's still running at Theo Ubique. The music director there, the guy who was playing the piano, Austin Cook, he actually won the award last week at the non-equity ceremony. He is a phenomenal young talent, so that's a name you guys should probably keep in mind. Plays, sings, just a nice guy.
And he's new to Chicago, too?
Brand new, yes. In his acceptance speech, he talked about being new to Chicago, was brought in to be the music director, and boy, he's really been embraced, and everybody can see a very, very talented guy. The John Mahoney piece that's running at Northlight, it's a terrific show. I mean, I'm going to say that's my personal opinion, not as a Jeff judge and what the
Okay.
rest of the Jeff people think, but it's really a tremendous acting by all three characters, and Mahoney is certainly something to see in this particular role. It's a great role for him. The third one you mentioned, Profiles Theater, which is currently running, 50 Words, a gritty two-person play concerning the break apart of a marriage. Two great performances in a storefront theater. It's really something you should try to go see. I'm sure the show will continue to be extended over the summer.
I love these storefront theaters. They really put on some excellent work. The last one we're going to talk about is Front Page, which is still running, and that is at Timeline Theater. This I like because it's a classic Chicago play. It was done in the 20s that shows the corruption of Chicago, and guess what? It still works today. So even in today's age, the corruption that went on 50 years ago is still going on now, so it's a timeless piece. So let's play a clip from Timeline.
Every privilege you get, I got a damn good notion to take this press room away from you.
That would be a break.
Yeah, this place is full of cockroaches anyway.
Wait a minute, fellas. Listen, Pete. This is the last favor I'm ever going to ask you. And it's not me that's asking it, get me? You know who's asking it. A certain party is asking it. So once and for all, how about hanging this guy at 5 o'clock instead of 7? It ain't going to hurt you, and we could make the city edition.
Well, that's an excellent show. I do recommend that also. Now, the last show we're going to talk about is from one of my favorite little theaters called the Gift Theater, and it's called Northwest Highway, and it's actually it's directed by their co-founder, William Nedved. So Darcy saw the show, so she's going to give us her perspective. What did you think?
Well, I had mixed feelings about it originally. It was cool that it was about Jefferson Park, where the theater is located. And I don't really know all that much about Jefferson Park, but I could tell that it was a neighborhood kind of show. And it's about this cop, and he's trying to sell his house, and he's just got all these problems. And it was kind of overwhelming in that the problem just kept building on, and it was kind of a downer. But I did like that. There was one character I really liked. Gabriel Franken played the gay best friend, who was really funny. So that was some balance to all the problems that were happening, and it was really emotional. Sometimes kind of too emotional, but I felt like the production overall was pretty well done. I really liked the theater. I'd never been to the Gift Theater, and it's really tiny, but this show worked great in it. It was, I think, written for the Gift Theater. So it was really small, but like a really close-up look at these characters, and I thought it worked really well in the space, especially.
Excellent. Well, you can tell from that narrative that Darcy's definitely going to be getting a job in communications. Thanks. Okay, so now we get to the main focus of the show, and that is going to be the Jeff Awards, which came to Chicago this week. And that's why we've got Jeffrey Marks on, who's going to explain what happened with the Jeff Awards. And this is the non-equity Jeff Awards.
That's right. We had the non-equity ceremony on Monday, June 6th. It was at the Park West. It was a standing room only crowd. It was really well attended, considering the economy and the fact that this was more the storefront and younger people. It was amazing how many people turned out. It was an exciting time, I think, for Chicago theater. As you know, we divide the total theater communities into two wings, the equity wing and the non-equity wing. Equity wing is the theaters that operate under equity contracts. The non-equity wing is the theaters that do not operate under an equity contract. The season runs for the non-equity from April 1st to March 31st. So last Monday we gave awards to the theaters that had been producing over the past year up through March 31st. What is something that you and I have always talked about is the number of theaters here in Chicago is overwhelming. It's incredible. There are more professional non-equity theaters than there are professional equity theaters here in Chicago. This year, eligible for the nominations and the awards, we had 63 professional theater companies submitting works. We had 120 shows that were eligible for Jeff Award nominations. And eventually, at the end of the nomination period, we had 32 of the theaters had at least one nomination. And then we had the award ceremony on Monday at the Park West. To understand the number of shows, not only for the equity and non-equity, if we combine them together, we're talking about just us seeing the eligible productions of 250 productions in a year. So there's a lot of theater going on here. The non-equities, which were on Monday, are the exciting storefront type of theaters, younger people involved. I think we've talked in the past that a lot of the actors and directors that you see in the non-equity will often then go on to the equity theaters, though because the non-equities are so successful, a lot of the people just stay in the non-equity situation. Profiles Theater, for example, that we just saw the clip from, they're a non-equity. They're always sold out and extend on, so there's no reason for them to have to convert into an equity theater. So we talked about the non-equity ceremony at the Park West. We should talk about some of the theater companies that did very, very well.
Then there were some great ones. I was surprised Theater Ubuque got nominated for 7 awards.
That's right.
And it's amazing, with 7 awards just for Cats. And then they only won 3. And then 2 of them were a tie. And it's like, okay, how do we get to a tie? I can't believe that we get to those numbers sometimes.
Well, certainly we do operate on straight statistics, so that if a statistical tie happens, particularly when we have weighted voting from the 50 Jeff members, and as a result of looking at the 5 nominees and then giving your weighted vote, it often is very, very close. And it ended up being a tie for the director for a musical. Theo Ubique did really great, and particularly their production of Cats. Frank, you mentioned that Theo Ubique, which is up on the
was it Edgewater?
Edgewater, right. Well, that whole little strip there where the Heartland Cafe is and Boho Theater. The storefront is very tiny.
Yeah.
And they make use of the space with some levels, and they, Brenda Didier, actually put on a full production of Cats on a small stage, which was really, really tremendous.
Let's see a scene from Cats, and I think we have a clip. Hopefully it's going to work. Let's do that. So that was Cats. It won in makeup. It won in costuming. It won for Best Director, and it was also, what else did it win? Choreography. So it won a lot. It's an excellent show. How they did Andrew Lloyd Webber's and T.S. Eliot's play on that small stage is phenomenal, and I really recommend them high. Next, we're going to talk about a theater that I didn't even know about, and then I found out it's 500 yards from where I live, and it's in Edgewater, called Red Twist. And Red Twist won basically for a wonderful show called Man from Nebraska.
Yes, well, let's talk about Red Twist. Red Twist started out with classes, and Michael Colucci and his wife started this storefront. It had a different name. And the storefront theater started out as an equity theater, and I think they realized that there was no reason for them to necessarily to be equity, and then they went into non-equity, so they didn't have a union contract. Since then, they have hired top young directors, actors. Everybody works in Chicago, whether you're a union or a non-union. Everybody gets paid in Chicago, something. So they went and hired really quality people, and the quality of their shows was going up and up and up. And this year, they actually had 3 major nominations for Man from Nebraska, which was Tracy Letts' show about a man having a crisis, and he leaves his small town and goes to Europe, and it's an excellent production. That not only won for production, but also for the lead actor, Chuck Spencer. Right. They also had a Lobby Hero, which was originally seen at the Goodman some years ago. Now they did this in the small storefront and used the street on Bryn Mawr as part of the scene through the lobby glass. And they had them mic'd, and so the cops and the people were talking, and they were on the street performing, and you could hear them inside the studio. And then they did Albie's Delicate Balance. So a tremendous season of very impressive work, and Red Twist, I think, is one of those up-and-coming, really strong theaters that we're going to see.
And now they have a new show called Bugs.
Bug, that's Tracy Letts' really bizarre play. Michael Shannon starred here in Chicago. Those of you who remember him, he's now a big movie star, has an Academy Award. He was the guy in Bug who went kind of berserk thinking that he had bugs implanted underneath him. And that show is currently running.
And that's a good show, too. I just saw it. But let's quickly see a clip from Man from Nebraska.
Natalie called last night.
Mom,
What?
Nancy said that...
Natalie called last night. Who? Natalie, your granddaughter. How's she doing?
She's doing real good, Mom.
She said be sure and tell you hello, and she misses you, and she'll see you at Christmas.
She's still working for Kenny?
No. That's Ashley works with me. Natalie's in school.
In school?
Yes.
She's still in school?
Well, she's getting her master's.
Oh.
She's very smart, Mom. She's getting her master's at Brown.
I don't know what that is.
Where'd you get those pretty flowers?
What?
Where'd you get those pretty flowers?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Oh, they're from Zora. That was sweet.
Give me some ham.
You've got an appetite.
I know it.
Is it good?
Oh,
So good, huh? Good, I'm glad.
John was here.
Was he?
Yeah.
Dad came by?
Yeah.
When did he come by?
Last night. Middle of the night.
How's he doing?
Fine.
What'd he say? Mom, what did Dad say when he came by?
I know, that was a long clip, and it was hard to get the gist of this play and cutting it down to such a short thing. But that won the awards. So actually for Best Actor
and production,
and for Best Production. So before we run out of time, let me go into the one more show, and then we will skip the rest of the clips and get rid of that. And that's going to be a wonderful new theater. Well, actually, it's been around for a while, but I have just discovered it. Hypocrites.
Oh.
And the winning show was Cabaret, which surprised me, but it was an excellent show, and it won. So let's go right to the clip of Cabaret.
We're rehearsing today. We also went through a couple of the musical numbers. Went through Don't Tell Mama, which is kind of Sally's first big one, and then Mein Herr, which is another big story plot point where the owner of the club has asked her to leave, and she kind of gives her last violent lap dance hurrah.
My hair.
So, Cabaret took a lot of awards, and what did you think?
Well, first of all, this was a great imagination of Cabaret. The director, Matt Hawkins, who actually won the award for director of musicals, he shared it in the tie we talked about. It was a great imagination of it. Jessie Fisher played the MC, normally played by a man, and she played the MC, and she won the award as well. Right. We talked before about actors moving on into, maybe onto the larger stages as a result of some of the non-equity recognition and nominations and awards. Jessie Fisher is currently performing in Grease, as Frenchie. So I mean, you can see the talent on some of these people.
The talent is phenomenal, and even with some of the shows that we're gonna skip the rest of the clips. I'm gonna let the crew know we're gonna just put the ending clip in, but I do want to talk about Big River and Neverwhere, especially when you look at the staging that those shows went through, and how what a tight battle that you guys had in choosing.
Yes, and you're right. And Lifeline does the adaptations. They have unique sets that they put on this on their stages. It's really tremendous what they do. I do want to go back to the Hypocrites for a moment.
Yeah.
You had Hypocrites for a long time was led by Sean Graney, the very avant-garde director. I mean, he's not only involved in Hypocrites, but he's been at Chicago Shakespeare. He's been at Court Theater. Always bizarre, different, unique looks. So that's the nature of the Hypocrites. They're really great. It's not only Cabaret, but they were nominated for Unusual Pirates of Penzance in the Caribbean that it took place. And it was very unusual. And then they did a Sartre's No Exit in a bizarre, wonderful production. So these, Hypocrites is one of these theaters that now should be on everybody's radar.
Yeah, it's a great, and I think now that they won that award. And then we've got, let's see, Best New Adaptation was The Three Faces of Dr. Crippen.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Which surprised me because wasn't it actually through Steppenwolf?
It was in the Steppenwolf garage space, and they shared with the three new up-and-coming companies that rotated in there.
Yeah, so I was surprised when it came under non-equity at first.
Right, but all they did was they rented the space there, and Steppenwolf does provide a lot of incentives. They're great about that.
Okay.
As is the Goodman, incidentally.
Big River?
Boho Theaters, Big River, was really great. I think what was really interesting, and he wasn't played up by the guy who won, Andrew Mueller. And Mueller is that family of Muellers in Chicago, and this is the youngest son. Jesse, of course, and Abby and the other ones, and Roger, of course. Mueller has been a long-time stalwart in theater here, and that's one of their sons. And so it's amazing that now he's brought in and been recognized in the Jeff Awards in the Chicagoland Theater.
When Gail told me that at the show, I said, "What? The whole family is just one big theater company. They just start their own."
The new Barrymores.
Before we run out of time, can you just talk about the Equity Awards and?
Thank you. The Equity Award. Well, the Equity Awards are going to be held in November 7th at Drury Lane, Oakbrook. It's a great venue. They're wonderful out there. You would expect Drury Lane to also have a lot of nominations as they have, but it's been a tremendous season of equity shows. I mean, we saw some of the clips just here. John Mahoney, and just the list goes on and on. It's going to be very exciting. I should tell everybody that if they want to see more information, go to the jeffawards.org, the website. There are photos from the non-equity ceremony that are up, and we'll have some speeches and acceptance speeches up on the website as well, jeffawards.org.
Okay. Well, we are out of time, and so we're going to take a quick break, and we will continue for those in Chicago. In the suburbs, we'll see you in about 2 weeks. Thanks for being on the show. Gail, Darcy, you did a great interview with your first show. We got some more for you to see. I'm Frank, and we'll see you in a little while. Thanks for watching.